My name is Agatha Larson, and I was 34 years old the day my family boarded a plane without me. The airport was loud in the way airports always are, rolling suitcases rattling across tile, a baby crying near security, the hiss of steamed milk from the Starbucks kiosk by gate C12. People were dressed for winter travel, layered coats, scarves tucked into collars, neck pillows, looped like halos around their shoulders. Everyone looked like they belonged to somewhere that mattered. My daughter stood beside me, both hands wrapped around mine, her pink backpack slipping off one shoulder. She kept bouncing on her toes, craning her neck to catch a glimpse of the gate screen. She was excited. I told myself I was too. This trip had been planned for 2 months. Group chats that never stopped buzzing, booking links, screenshots of the cabin, heated floors, a stone fireplace big enough to sit in, a private hot tub on the deck. Snow forecasted for New Year's Eve. I'd sent my share of the money early, $1,300, split evenly, just like everyone else. I was the third person to pay. I wasn't late. I wasn't unprepared. I checked our bags twice. I checked our coats. I checked my purse. Everything was in place until it wasn't. When the airline agent scanned my ticket, she didn't smile. She scanned it again. Her eyes flicked to another screen, then back to mine. "Can I see your ID, please?" Something in her tone made my stomach drop. "I think there's a mistake," I said quietly. "My entire family is on this flight." She didn't argue. She stepped aside and called another agent over. They spoke in low voices. The second woman glanced at me, then at my daughter, then at the screen again. "I'm sorry," she said. "Your reservation was canceled." Canceled. She said it like it was something I should already know. "That can't be right," I said, heat creeping into my face. "I paid. My sister booked the group reservation." The second agent gave me a look I'll never forget. It wasn't rude. It wasn't pity. It was recognition, like she understood something before I did. I stepped away from the counter. My daughter tugged my sleeve. "Mommy," she whispered, "are we getting on the plane?" "Just a minute," I said, already pulling my phone from my purse. I texted my sister first, then my brother, then my mom. Nothing. I looked up from my screen just in time to see them boarding. My parents were near the front. My older sister was laughing as her husband snapped photos. My brother tossed jokes over his shoulder the way he always did when he was excited. Even my cousin, who hadn't chipped in for groceries last Thanksgiving, walked down the jet bridge smiling. My daughter waved at them. No one waved back. The line kept moving. The gate door closed. That was it. On the Uber ride home, my daughter stared out the window. The city lights blurred past, reflecting faintly on the glass. After a few minutes, she asked, "Are you mad?" "No," I said. It wasn't a lie. Mad wasn't enough. At home, I sat on the edge of my bed and scrolled through the group chat. 4 days earlier, my sister had sent a message. "I'll handle the final confirmations." No one questioned it. Why would they? She always handled that stuff. At 10:07 p.m., my phone buzzed. "You should be used to being left out by now." No explanation, no apology, just that. I stared at the message for a full 10 seconds before typing back. "Don't worry, your new year will be unforgettable." Then I set my phone down. They had forgotten who they were dealing with. By the time I woke up the next morning, the house felt unnaturally quiet. My daughter sat at the kitchen table eating cereal, swinging her legs back and forth, humming to herself like nothing had happened. Kids are resilient that way. Or maybe they just don't carry the weight we hand them yet. I watched her for a moment longer than necessary before turning on my laptop. I didn't feel angry. I felt organized. People assume betrayal makes you reckless, loud, emotional. It doesn't always. Sometimes it makes you very, very clear. For years, I had been the invisible backbone of my family. Not the favorite, not the loudest, not the one who got birthday tributes or long Facebook posts. I was the one who handled things. Quietly, reliably, without needing to be asked twice. Utility bills at my parents' house? On my auto pay. Streaming subscriptions everyone shared? My accounts. Joint savings for emergencies? Managed through my login. Random temporary expenses that somehow became permanent? Me. No one ever announced it. They just leaned. I'd never made it a problem. That was my mistake. By mid-morning, my sister had posted the first vacation video. Snow drifting lazily outside the cabin windows, her coffee mug in the foreground, a soft acoustic song playing in the background. The caption read, "Finally breathing again." A few minutes later, my brother uploaded a clip of the living room, exposed beams, fire crackling in the stone hearth, someone laughing off camera. Probably my cousin. My mom was already wearing the fuzzy robe she'd mentioned 3 times in the group chat. They looked warm, relaxed, untouched. I watched it all from my apartment while my daughter asked if we could go sledding later. Yes, I said, smiling. Not because it didn't hurt, because I had a plan. I didn't do anything dramatic that first day. I wanted them comfortable. People make mistakes when they think everything is fine. I gave them 24 hours. Then I started. The first thing I did was remove my debit card from the utility accounts at my parents' house. Electricity, water, internet. My name was the only one on the auto pay. The bills wouldn't bounce immediately, but the clock had started ticking. Next came the streaming services. Netflix, Hulu, Spotify Family Plan. I didn't just change the passwords. I canceled the accounts entirely. Same email, same payment source. Gone. They'd notice later, probably halfway through a movie, when the screen froze and someone asked, "Did the Wi-Fi cut out?" By noon, my phone started buzzing. A missed call from my cousin. I didn't answer. A text followed. "Did you change the password to the expense doc?" Ignored. Then my sister. "Seriously?" I set the phone face down and made lunch for my daughter. Around 2 p.m., my mom left a voicemail. Her voice was casual, almost light. "Hey, sweetie, we're having some weird issues with a reservation. Did you change anything on your end?" She still didn't understand. That night, they tried to eat at a steakhouse in town. A fancy one. I knew the place. Dim lighting, heavy menus, the kind of restaurant my dad loved to brag about. His card was declined. Twice. The joint account we used for larger family expenses had hit its limit because it was empty. They tried another card, one linked to a PayPal account I'd set up for them years ago. That was empty too. And then the cabin host reached out. She emailed my sister, explaining that the second half of the rental payment hadn't gone through. They'd used my card for the deposit. They'd assumed I'd be there. Now my name was removed from the reservation. The payment failed. My sister had to put her own card down. I knew she didn't have that kind of limit. She didn't post anything that night. By day 3, my brother left early. In the family group chat, my mom said it was a work issue. I knew better. The savings account I'd helped him set up for truck repairs, the one that was half mine, had been closed. I made sure of it. By day 4, I started seeing the bank alerts before they did. The mortgage account, tied to my parents' house, was deactivated. The shared emergency fund, meant for sickness or sudden help, was closed. My employer-linked banking app was disconnected from everything except my personal accounts. Every alert had my name on it. That's when the messages changed. Not just my mom, not just my sister. My cousin, an aunt who hadn't spoken to me in years. People who only ever remembered I existed when something went wrong. My mom finally texted directly. "What's happening?" I stared at the screen for a moment. Then I closed the app. They had relied on me quietly for years. I was never the favorite, never the one they posted about. But I was always the safety net. They cut me out of a trip I helped pay for. Now they could learn what it felt like to fall without one. And the best part? The week wasn't even over. By day 6, my phone looked like a hotline. Missed calls, voicemails stacked on top of each other, texts from relatives who hadn't said my name in years, unless someone was sick, broke, or dying. I hadn't sent a single message since the airport, yet suddenly I was the most important person in the family. They were still at the cabin. I knew because my cousin posted a video that morning. No music, no filters this time. Just the driveway buried under thick snow, tire tracks completely gone. The caption read, "Cabin fever is real." Around 10:00 a.m., my mom called again. I watched it ring. Then my dad, then my brother, then my sister, twice in a row. She followed up with a text. "Can we please just talk? Not, I'm sorry, not we didn't know, just talk." At noon, my cousin sent a long message, paragraphs, no emojis. The cabin host had threatened to cancel their last 2 nights if the balance wasn't paid. The second charge on my sister's card had failed. My dad's card was frozen. They were embarrassed. They were stuck. I stared at the screen and felt something settle in my chest. Not satisfaction, not joy. Confirmation. They had treated me like extra baggage, too heavy to bring, too easy to leave behind. And now they wanted me to carry them again. Around 1 p.m., the family group chat exploded. "My mom, can anyone access the emergency account?" My sister, "I can't even log in. It says the account doesn't exist." My brother, "What happened to the savings?" Message after message after message. Chaos. I didn't type a word. I just watched the financial system they'd built their lives around, the one I quietly managed, disappear. Not sabotaged, not destroyed. Removed. just like I had been. That afternoon, there was a knock at my door. I froze. My daughter was in the living room coloring, humming softly to herself. I walked to the door and looked through the peephole. My dad. No coat, no bag, just standing there with his hands in his pockets, shoulders slumped in a way I'd never seen before. He knocked once, then again. I didn't open the door. I stood there silently until he left, then watched through the peephole as he walked back to his car, his breath fogging in the cold air. That's when I realized something important. He didn't come with answers. He came because they were trapped. Later that evening, my sister tried again. This time it was a long message. She said they were overwhelmed, that things had escalated too fast, that no one meant to hurt me. She said I was taking it too far. She said this wasn't how family behaves. She said I should think about how this would affect my daughter. Not one word about the airport. Not one word about me standing at the gate with my child while they boarded without looking back. I didn't respond. That night, an unknown number left a voicemail. The cabin host sounded uncomfortable, apologetic. She asked if I could reactivate the payment method or transfer the booking. They'd been trying to verify funds for 48 hours. The storm had made everything worse. They couldn't check out without settling the balance, and the system had flagged the reservation for possible fraud. Fraud. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because the irony was unbearable. At dinner, my daughter looked up from her plate and asked, "Why is everyone calling you?" I thought for a moment, then said, "Sometimes people don't realize how much someone does for them until it's gone. And when they lose it, they panic." She nodded slowly, like she understood. Maybe not fully, but she would someday. That night, I finally replied to my mom's last message. She had asked, "Are you doing this on purpose?" I typed back, "Yes, and I'm not even close to finished." Then I muted the chat, set my phone face down, and let them sit with it. They had one full day left at that cabin, and I was just getting started. The silence on their final full day was loud. No sunrise photos, no coffee mugs by the window, no fake captions about gratitude or peace. The family group chat, once buzzing nonstop, was dead. That morning, just after 9 a.m., an email landed in my inbox. Not automated, not generic, direct, urgent. It was from the cabin's property manager. They had attempted to charge the remaining balance 4 times. Every attempt failed. If payment wasn't received by 6 p.m., they would contact the local sheriff's office and pursue intentional non-payment due to the holiday storm delay. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded the email, headers, timestamps, legal language, and all, straight into the family group chat. No caption, no explanation. My phone exploded. Calls from my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, an aunt. Even a blocked number rang twice. I ignored them all. Then a number with a county prefix came through. I answered. The officer was calm, professional. She asked if I was still associated with the reservation. I told her the truth, clearly, slowly, without emotion. I had been removed from the booking without my consent. I never boarded the flight. I never stayed at the cabin. I never received a refund. There was a pause. Then she said, "Understood. Thank you for your time." 10 minutes later, my sister texted, "Did you actually report us?" I didn't respond. They were doing that themselves. At 1:30 p.m., someone knocked on my door. This time I looked. My brother stood there alone. No bags, no attitude, just exhaustion. He said he didn't know my ticket had been canceled. He said he thought I'd backed out last minute. I told him where I was standing. At the gate, with my daughter, watching them board. He slid a check across the table. Done $300. My share. I didn't touch it. This was never about the money, I said. It was about years of being the backup plan, the safety net, the one you use and ignore. He nodded. He didn't argue. Then he left. That night, my sister sent 2 final messages. "You've always been bitter. You're not acting like a real daughter." I screenshotted them, not for proof, but for memory. The next morning, the twist I didn't expect arrived. A local news article. Luxury cabin guests under investigation for unpaid rental fees during holiday storm. The photo was blurry, but unmistakable. My mom in her robe, my dad in flannel, my sister standing on the porch with her arms crossed. It didn't go viral. It didn't have to. By noon, my mom's Facebook was gone. My cousin's Instagram was private. My sister's stories, silent for the first time in years. No one contacted me. Not out of pride. Out of shame. 3 days passed. Then, one afternoon, my daughter handed me an envelope someone had slipped under the door. Inside was the same check, uncashed, and a typed letter, no signature, cold, legal. It said that since I hadn't gone on the trip, I wasn't entitled to a refund. What happened was described as a family misunderstanding. It was time to move on. I flipped the page over and wrote one sentence. Next time you want peace, don't create a war you expect someone else to clean up. I dropped it in their mailbox and walked away. That weekend was quiet, the kind of quiet that feels earned. On Sunday, walking back from the park, my daughter asked, "Why do we always have to be the quiet ones?" She said it wasn't okay when people lie, exclude us, and pretend nothing happened. She was right. That night, I booked a trip, just for us. Mid-January, a small cabin in Colorado. Real snow, real fire, no shared accounts, no favors. When the confirmation email came through, I posted one screenshot. Paid in full, no one left behind. We went, we laughed, we drank cocoa by the fire while the wind stayed outside. Relatives watched quietly, no comments. My mom sent a single heart emoji. My cousin posted a quote about letting go. My sister wrote, "The kindest people become cold after being burned." She was wrong. I didn't become cold. I became clear. On the flight home, my daughter slept against my shoulder while I watched the clouds and thought about how peaceful life gets when you stop begging to be seen. When we landed, one message waited. "You made your point. Hope it was worth it." I blocked her. Not out of anger, because there was nothing left to say. It was never about revenge. It was about freedom, and I have never felt lighter.